I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Lord, we're meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, oops.
Yep, you're fine.
Roll call, please.
Lorraine,
Present.
Shoemaker is absent. Mathis,
Here.
Krug is present. Kessler,
Here.
Gopal,
Here.
Tucker.
Present.
You have 6 members present.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? All right. To the members of the audience, this TV program, what?
Need a motion.
I'm sorry. All right, on the agenda, I need a motion as an order to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. To the members of tonight's audience, there is 3 cameras in this room in the 3 corners. You are being televised. You will be on channel 191, which is Charter Communication. I believe it'll start Wednesday, it might start on Thursday. It goes for 2 weeks. I'm not sure exactly what time you're going on, but if there's other community programs on, then you just have to wait in. But it will come on, and it'll come on usually every 4 hours during the day. Tonight we have 2 presentations, and the first one is Beverly Vandra. She's the treasurer of the City of Linden. She's here this evening to tell us about National Night Out event. Beverly?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. I'd like to promote my 2nd annual National Night Out event. We did it last year on August 1st over at the Hyde Elementary School. And what it is, it's just a big event to show our appreciation to our policemen, firemen, and all of our EMS drivers in the city of Fenton, the city of Linden, Argentine Township, and Fenton Township. All 4 municipalities were there. The guys all had a great job. They had great fun. A lot of them didn't know about it, I guess until like that day or so, but all 4 municipalities showed up with fire trucks, and the kids had a blast. We had free food there. We have hot dogs, chips. We had lots of water. We had a company donate 2,000 bottles of water to our event, the day of the event at noon. We had McDonald's drinks. We had cookies. We had a photo booth for the kids to have their picture taken either with a policeman, a fireman, and or paraphernalia. Brian Will from REMAX, who's also our fire chief over in Linden, he was the one that sponsored the booth. And this year, from what I understand, the people or the guys from the fire department are going to bring their hats and their pants and their paraphernalia and let the kids take pictures in that for themselves, along with the firemen and the policemen and stuff. We have a big kids booth there. We have lots of activities for kids. We have bounce houses, we have face painting, we have balloon making. This year we're going to have a snow cone, a cotton candy machine, and a popcorn machine that Southern Lakes has decided to attend our event. And also I was up talking to the American Red Cross. They're going to be there to be passing out information where if you're in need of a smoke alarm in your home, they will bring you one to your house and they will install it for you free of charge to everybody. We're also hoping to have carbon monoxide detectors there. Due to our Quasarano family, Laura's very adamant about that. We gave away a lot of carbon monoxide detectors last year, and we're hoping to get some again this year. I'd just like to let everybody know that with all the municipalities attending, I'd like to see all council members there. I'm not too sure who was there last year or not. We really didn't think we were going to do so good, and we ended up with over 1,500 people last year. I ran out of hot dogs, actually. So I'd like for everybody to please come and enjoy and show our support to our guys. We're also looking for sponsorships on the bottom of the flyer there. I have my email address and my phone number for sponsorships. It is an event where I have to raise money for it. It is not a money-making event at all. Any money that I raise, we use to pay for the food, and/or we're getting our bounce houses all donated. I got to pay for a DJ and that type of stuff. So if anybody's interested in helping me out and/or attending the event, I would really appreciate it. One thing I want to show you guys before I leave is this canvas. I don't know. This canvas, when it came to the event, it was a blank canvas, a beige colored canvas. And there was a gentleman there that does this type of stuff. His name was Dan. And everybody that was at the event was able to come up and paint a small portion of it. Not like a whole piece, but he kind of really, I guess, kept in control of it. Little kids, big kids, any size kid that was there was able to do it. And then what he did was afterwards he kind of went through and outlined and cleaned it up. And as you can see, it has fire trucks, police cars, EMS, community event is what it was to present. And in March of this year, at the end of March, the gentleman came along with Linda from the Genesis Credit Union. They were our major sponsor last year, and presented this to us. I had no idea it was going to be anything like this. I cried actually when we got it. She also gave me a little plaque, and I like to be able to very soon here let it go to each one of the municipalities and put in your entranceway there, so people can see it for maybe like a month or so. It's supposed to be the traveling canvas. I'm using it for all my presentations first. And I would also like to ask if I could bring flyers over to put on the counter for any residents that would come in, if who's ever at the front desk would be willing to pass out the flyers. We're going to be putting them in grocery bags and around town in the month of July also. But this is something that happens at this community event, and everybody had a real good time from what I heard. So,
What's the artist's name?
Dan, his last name, Korzaiko or something. I had a real hard time pronouncing it. He's down from like the Southfield area.
Oh, okay.
But his information is on we have a Facebook page and stuff like that. So it was fantastic. Everybody had a really good time doing it, especially my police chief, Scott Sutter. he seemed to like it a lot. So, but everybody just was able just to paint a little portion of it. He didn't let them go for quite a while, so everybody had a turn at it. So it turned out beautiful, I think. And we have it hanging up on the wall over in Linden right now, and then, like I said, I like to pass it around to the other 3 municipalities so that they can show it off in their area also. So, does anybody have any questions for me? Or suggestions? If anybody has any different ideas for my event, please call me. My email address and my telephone number is on my flyer. All suggestions are greatly appreciated. I also need volunteers if anybody wants to come and volunteer. It's only a 3-hour event. It's August 7th, Tuesday from 5 to 8. So it's a very short event. And I was told it's not going to rain. So there you go. We're not going to have any problems. It was beautiful last year. The weather was perfect. So we had a DJ there as well. So.
Okay, is there any questions from the board members? Beverly?
If
Is
you
there any
do,
questions
you have
from
my
the
information.
audience?
Questions from the audience at all?
None? All
Okay,
right,
well, thank you very much for letting me
I hope all of
attend.
us can be there. I wasn't there, last year, but I don't remember getting the notice. I really don't.
Okay, well,
So,
I was in charge of the advertising last year, and last year was our first year, so I heard I missed some places. I'm doing a lot better this year, but last year we had Danielle Kusan, our new mayor. She came and did a small presentation, and we were kind of hoping to get mayors from all 4 of our 4 different municipalities to be there this year, so that might be kind of fun. It's August 7th at 5 o'clock.
now that is election day. What about Hyatt?
That doesn't have anything to do with it. Election day.
School, is Hyatt a voting?
No,
No,
It is
Maria?
if you're running the election.
Well, yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, but after you go vote, then you can come over. Well, unfortunately, that's just how it fell. I know, but the National Night Out
If I could be done
is
at
always on the
8:05,
first
I'd go.
Tuesday
Right.
in August.
I
And
got it.
because of that, it's also for voting, and the way the dates fell, we also have the following day, we have Back to the Bricks in Linden. So we got like slammed in Linden here for stuff going on. But unfortunately, all those dates fell within a 2-day time period, and nothing can be changed. So
No, that's fine.
we're gonna have them go over and vote, and then just bring them right over to the event.
Okay.
So,
All
anyway.
right, well, thank
Okay.
you very much, Beverly.
Well, thank you very much,
Do you want
appreciate
some
it.
help carrying that picture up?
No, I'm good, I'm gonna listen for a while.
Okay, all right. Plant Moran. Financial report for the fiscal year ending of December the 31st, 2017. We have in front of us Pam Hill and Crystal Simpson. I signed it.
Can you see us if we stand over here?
I can.
I think I can't see. I can't see Vince or.
Later.
Yeah,
That's all right.
I don't need this. If you want, I can stand over here so I can
okay, that's
see you all. Is
fine.
that okay? Will it
What's
be
ever-
okay on TV?
Yeah,
Okay. My TV debut, probably not, but, so, thank you for having us here tonight. We're here to present the results of the audit for the December 31st, 2017 year end. Again, I'm Pam Hill, a partner with Plant Moran out of our Flint office. And I have with me Crystal Simpson, who's a manager out of our Flint office. So we are happy to be here tonight. We have a couple deliverables to go through. We do have the financial statements, which I know you have received in advance. We don't plan on going through all 50-plus pages of those tonight, but we did put together the graphs of some trends to kind of talk about the financial condition of the township this evening. And we also have the report to the board of trustees, which is just the smaller one. It has maybe 5 or 6 pages in it, and we will go through that.
okay.
We did have a draft meeting with the 3 full-time elected officials, and Tom as well, and Debbie, where we went through those 50-plus pages in a lot of detail. So again, happy to answer any questions that any of the board members have related to that. We spent approximately 250 to 300 hours this year auditing the books and records of the township. So as you can imagine, that's quite a bit of time that we're out here bugging Tom and Debbie while they have to answer all our questions, get ready for the audit, and then also help us through that. So we do appreciate the effort that's given by your team. It helps us to be very efficient. If you see that our opinion date was May 11th, that was about 3 to 4 weeks after we started the audit. So that's a very quick turnaround time, and that's a testament to your team and what a great job they did in preparation for the audit. Sometimes, it could be 3 or 4 months after we're out here that we issue. So great job on that. So I do want to touch on just a couple pages within the financial statements. That would be the audit opinion letter. That's pages 1 and 2. It was once again an unmodified opinion, so that's the highest level of assurance that we can give you. So that's what Plant Moran is providing today. So that means that you can rely on the numbers as they are stated within your financial statements. With that, I'll turn it over to Crystal, and she can talk a little bit about the numbers that are in your financial statements.
All right. On the first graph, this is the general fund revenue from 2013 through 2017. The total revenue for 2017 was $3.1 million. Of that amount, the most significant revenue source for you is state sources. It's about $1.4 million. That's primarily related to the state share revenue that you collect. The constitutional payments are based on the sales tax collections in Michigan, and they're distributed to each community based on a formula based on the last census. And those payments actually increased $88,000 this year, so that's good. You also had an uptick last year, so people are out spending money, so that's good for you. Property taxes are the second largest source. They increased about $12,000 this year to about $780,000 for 2017. That increase was primarily related to an increase in taxable values, just over 3%. Just keep in mind that due to Proposal A, that's limited to the lesser of 5% or inflation. And if you look back, inflation's not been near 5% in a long time. So, but it's good that you've seen, you can see a continued increase from 2013 through 2017. The next graph shows the general fund revenue just in a pie chart format. So again, you can see your state and federal revenue are your most significant revenue source of about 44% of your total revenue. And then your property taxes are about 25% of your total revenue.
I think this is always a good one to show because all the residents pay their entire property tax bill to the township. So the residents think that entire money actually goes to the township, but a lot of it goes to the counties and the schools and all of that. So, you know, really you're running your general fund budget mainly on state shared revenue, and property taxes does supplement that a little bit, but it's by far not your largest source of revenue. So it's just kind of interesting to see it up in that pie chart.
So this graph shows the general fund expenditures. They were approximately $2.8 million in 2017. The most significant expenditure is general government of about $1.1 million. That was down about $17,000 from 2016. We did have a decrease in some of your contracted services within that category. Public safety was the second largest expenditure. You can see it decreased about $25,000. And that fluctuates just depending on your contract with the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. Public Works, if you're looking at that, you see that had a large swing for 2017. The Butcher and Thompson Road expansions are what filtered into that expense category. The next graph, this shows your general fund balance as in the unassigned fund balance in blue. You can see the annual expenditures in orange, and then your restricted fund balance in green. So the restricted portion is restricted for a specific purpose by a third party. You're not allowed to spend it in anything other than those specific restrictions. But the unassigned fund balance is available to be spent. And that was about $1.1 million at the end of December, and that was about 38.3% of your current year expenditures. So that means if the township were to stop taking money in, you could operate on about 4.5 months with the current level of unassigned fund balance. We're asked all the time what that percentage should be. It really depends on what kind of needs you have. If you have any capital improvements that you want to be made, or specific road projects, if you're trying to fund some of your legacy costs, you may need more fund balance. So best practice would be as part of your budget to decide if you wanted a minimum fund balance, as well as a maximum fund balance, and then try to operate within those metrics.
I think it's important to point out too, Crystal's exactly right, like what's the right amount of fund balance. So I would say, if you look at that blue bar, you've really remained pretty consistent over the last 5 years. You might be up and down a little bit here and there, but you're maintaining a fairly consistent fund balance. So that means you're doing a nice job of looking at your budget, making sure that you're kind of living within your means here. And you can see that by the percentages as well. So 38%, that's a good, it's a healthy fund balance. It's not an exorbitant amount of fund balance by any means, but it's also not a number that I would have concern over. So I think you're at a good, healthy place and a good spot that kind of positions you forward. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the letter a little bit. But I think you should feel good about where you ended up the year at, and really it's a lot of hard work by management and your team of watching the expenditures. As Crystal touched on, revenue didn't go up that much. So kind of monitoring and picking and choosing in terms of capital and what you can do. So I think you should feel good again as to where you ended up for the year.
The last graph is looking at your retiree health care. If you're listening to anything going on at the state right now, it's heavily built around legacy costs, defined benefit pension plans. Luckily here you have the defined contribution, so you don't see a large liability related to that. But your retiree health care, what they refer to as OPEB, we have at the top your annual required contribution. It's really just what's recommended by the actuary for you to fund in the current year. It's not required to be pre-funded like pension. According to state law, you are allowed to pay as the premiums come due. An interesting thing here, though, when we look at your financial statements, there's a new accounting statement next year that will come into play to bring the unfunded retiree healthcare liability on your books. Currently, you have, under the old standards, about $589,000 reported as a liability. Next year, with that new standard coming into play, yours will actually be reduced to that bottom number of about $370,000. So you have been trying to fund as much as you can. You're about 48.8% funded as of your last valuation, as you can see here. So that's good. A lot of places have opted to not contribute anything upfront because you're not required to. So you are making those good choices related to that.
And I think really what that positions you for is, so you're starting to see some growth, and you have seen growth in terms of new homes and things like that, which is why you've seen the 3% increase in your property tax values, when most places, if they're even at 1%, they're lucky. But really, to kind of summarize what Crystal said, in terms of long-term liabilities, the township is very, very well positioned because you do not really have substantial long-term liabilities. You don't have a long-term pension obligation, and your OPEB liability, although you might look at that and the average person say $370,000, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money. I mean, if you look at the state in all of the governmental entities, this is a very, very, and even looking at your budget, I mean, this is a very minimal dollar amount in terms of a long-term unfunded liability. And so you are almost 50% funded. So I think that what that means for you is that you're able to position yourself to move forward, where I think a lot of local governments are looking at how are we going to fund all these promises we made in the past. So you're in a unique position, I believe, which really is a bonus for the residents of the township, because you're able to kind of look at how we're going to move the community forward versus how we're going to pay for, I don't want to say the sins of the past, but kind of, the promises of the past is probably a better word. So again, you should feel really, really good about that and where you're at in that position.
Any questions on the graphs?
Any questions?
There's no questions on the graph. We're just going to cover the letter very briefly. I know you've had a chance to look through it, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. Pages 1 and 2 of the letter, if you recall at the beginning of the audit, we sent out a communication to the board, and we lay out our plan for the audit, and this is the follow-up to that letter, basically, and which says that we didn't really deviate from the plan at all. The township did implement a new accounting standard this year related to retiree healthcare. So if you happen to compare this year's to last year's, you'll notice probably another 5 or 6 pages included in the statement. So again, kudos to your team for really diving into that and ensuring the implementation went smoothly. And then the remaining pages really are just some additional information, some legislative items. As you can tell, legacy costs is a hot topic at the state and has been for the last couple of years. So you'll see some of those additional reporting requirements and things like that in the back. But other than that, nothing super significant. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the legislative items, but again, I know you guys are kind of in the loop on all that stuff, so I don't want to waste your time reiterating a lot of that. So.
Any questions?
Thank you for all your hard work, ladies.
Thank you.
They do a good job.
Thanks.
So are we all set then? All right, thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you all very much.
All right, included in the packet are the minutes from June 9th regular and workshop meetings. Are there any corrections or requested revisions for the meeting minutes? None?
Look good to me.
Okay, the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Expenditures. Are there any questions regarding any of your invoices there in front of you?
I do have a question. There's on the secondary batch, there's a roughly $1,300 charge. And it shows up as travel expenses and something about headlight and
What's it under?
card member services is how it's identified. Can you tell me what that's about?
Tom, can you help us out on that?
It's in the little short group, not the main packet.
Okay, let me find it here. Let me see if I can pull that out. It's the township credit card bill, so it's a combination of different purchases that she would have.
It says hotels, pizzas, and headlamps. That just struck me as a weird signs and ice.
Yeah,
Sundry.
Well, so the ice is probably when the machine went down. So I heard you
Absolutely.
guys were, that's probably one of the sundries.
yes.
Pizza was probably when we had our workshop.
Yes.
Headlamp. Repair and maintenance side.
Pardon me? You're all
I
set?
just, well, no, I'm just
Did
waiting
Tom
for
ask?
Tom's.
Yeah.
He's looking, I think. I think he's looking.
Let's see, one was Traverse City. I think that was an assessing. Let me see what that is.
Seminar thing.
240.75. That's for assessing.
Okay.
That's hotel.
What's the 748.47?
That's fire.
Okay.
Like that, I know the chief went to an arson training up north.
Okay.
I think that's a couple of those.
Right, I think I can figure out the rest of them from that. It's
Okay.
pizza, sign, and ice. I think I can get that. Okay, I'm good.
Are there any other questions in regards to the expenditures? All right, I need a motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $393,900.85 for payment.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
I vote yes. Mathis.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Shoemaker's absent. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, public hearings, none. Reports. Are there any committee reports to be made? None? All right. Communications, none. Now we're going into an adoption of an ordinance. This is rezoning R18, then R18-002, Chad Bug, part of parcel number 0607-400-003. The address is 12441 Sharp Road, R12R3 readings. This one here is located on Sharp Road. Treasurer Tucker, would you like to explain it?
Sure.
Because of the planning commission? Oh,
Thanks.
you're already up there, Chad. You can go ahead.
Let him go first, and
Oh, okay.
I'll pick up after that. unless-
Go ahead.
You guys want me to just explain
Yes.
why I'm asking for it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
my father-in-law has a disease that's gonna basically bound him for a wheelchair, and the way our property's set up is, I'm building a garage right now, and we wanna put a house onto that garage so we can move them up to our existing house, and the way the property's split, later on down the road, if I wanna sell, I don't wanna have to sell it through the center of my pond with the house that I would like to build. So I'd like to lessen the property up from 2 acre split down to an acre split to go with the house that's already existing.
I read in your drawing and everything, and I can't see a problem with it at all. Not at all. And it makes sense what you're saying. Is there any other opinion from any of the board members?
You want me to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
We had the hearing just last Thursday, and what Bonnie said is what we all agreed. There really isn't anything here. It's master or future land use for medium-density residential. The reason he has to do this is the minimum acreage sizes. If he wants to do it into 2 parcels, he doesn't have enough. Parcels around it are R3. It was not a difficult decision for us, and it was recommended unanimously for approval.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Chad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad, you know we vote 2 weeks from now?
Yep.
Okay.
The 9th?
Yes.
Are we going to have a meeting on
It's 3 weeks from now, actually.
3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Three
it's
weeks.
next meeting, 3 weeks
Yeah.
from now, right,
Because of the holiday.
right.
Any public comment in regards to this? Right, the second reading will be on July 9th here at the hall. Unfinished business, none. New business, proposed Metro Act right-of-way permit extension, AT&T Michigan. Is there anyone in the audience in regards to this? If not, Tom Broker, would you like to comment on it?
Yes, in the packet, there's a memo explaining it, but the Metro Act, which was adopted in 2002, required that telecommunication providers that aren't under the Cable TV Act have to get a Metro Act right-of-way permit from the local communities. They have to pay fees to the state of Michigan for every linear foot of facility that they own within the right-of-way, and then the state calculates everything out, and we get our share of that money. We got about $8,600 in Metro Act fees last year. AT&T Michigan got their first Metro Act permit in 2003. They requested and received 5-year extensions in 2008 and 2013. And I have no problem recommending that we approve this one as well.
Any board discussion in regards to this?
Is the dollars set by the state, Tom? Or
Yes.
And these are the same dollars as what we've experienced in the past?
Yes, they've not changed the calculation. If they had facilities, then they pay more.
Okay.
All right, I need a motion to approve a 5-year extension of the Metro Act right-of-way permit for AT&T Michigan as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Shoemaker's absent. Gopal?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Pardon me. Kessler?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mathis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, board comments. Are there any other comments that any of the members of the board would like to make? All right, I will open it up now to public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. I have 2 gentlemen here in the front. David Lossing, you want, okay, go ahead.
My turn, yep. All right.
I see a debate.
Huh? I do too, for the same position.
Well, thank you again. This is my 3rd time being with you all. Again, my name is Ian Shetron, and I'm running for state representative in the 51st District. I'm a Republican, which means that I've got a primary coming up here on August 7th.
Yes.
And I've talked already a couple times before the board here about some of the issues I'm running on. And I just wanted to very quickly, go over a couple things about that, because it's important that we have a candidate who is issues focused in this race. And biography is important, resume is important, and I know that, and I know that in my job. But at the end of the day, I can be, whoever you want me to be, but people really care, and I think that this is what matters most to people. What matters most is what you can do for people, what issues drive you, and when you get to Lansing, what issues you're going to pursue, what objectives you're actually going to go after. And I made my objectives very clear. It's getting our personal income tax rate back to 3.9%. where it was before they raised it in 2007. It's giving seniors, people who are retired, pension tax relief. It's making sure we're spending our money that we're collecting for our roads on our roads, for road repair and road maintenance and nothing else. And it's finally reforming our no-fault auto insurance and trying to bring down these ridiculous rates that we've been paying. And those are the issues that, they're not just platitudes. When I get to Lansing, those are things that I'm going to be pushing for, and that I know that when I get there, that there are going to be other people who are going to be pushing for those things as well. There are things that we can actually get done. And that's what I'm going to be about when I get to Lansing. It's about accomplishing things that actually mean something to people, and not just people on the Republican side or the Democrat side, but the things that affect everybody. And I hope that will positively affect everybody. And so it's very important to me. It's very personal to me, because this is what's been in the news recently is just how well the nation's economy has been doing. You know, we've got record low unemployment. You know, there are more jobs right now than there are people looking for work. And, you know, things are humming along, you know, all over the country. And if we're not a part of that, if Michigan isn't competitive for everything that's going on in the country, we're going to fall behind again. That's what happened in the 2000s. It was our lost decade. It was our one-state recession. While the rest of the country was doing well, Michigan was suffering. And we don't want to fall behind again. We need to stay on top of things. We need to be ahead of the game, and we need to stay competitive for jobs, for people, for our educated people who are, you know, we've got our great educational institutions here that we're educating, and then they say goodbye. That has to stop. And it has to come through competing for people, competing for jobs, competing for business, and just making Michigan the best place and a value for people to live. So again, my name is Ian Shetron, and I'm running for 51st District State Rep, and I hope you'll vote for me on August 7th. Thank you.
Is there any board questions from any of the board members? How about the public? None? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Second.
Well, good evening, Supervisor Mathis, members of the board, members of the audience, and those that are watching at home on TV. My name is David Lossie, and I'm running for the 51st District State House. I'm running unopposed in the Democratic primary this year, so I have the advantage of talking to a wider swath of voters throughout the district of all 9 townships, 2 cities, 3 villages, and 7 school districts spread over 2 counties. As many of you know, I'm the former mayor of Linden, where I'd served for 18 years and worked with Fenton Township on a number of issues impacting our community, hopefully in a very positive way. And not only in Fenton Township, but with the city of Fenton and Argentine as well. And so part of my theme is communities matter in our state and in our district. One of the things I want to work on if I'm elected in November is restoring the revenue sharing cuts that we have suffered through under both the Snyder and the Granholm administrations. We've lost $8 billion in the statutory revenue sharing. For the 51st District, that means $15 million, and for Fenton Township, that means almost $2 million that you've been shorted by the legislative process. It was nice to see your auditor's report today that you have a healthy fund balance, that property values are going back up, but what could you have done with the additional $118,000 that should have come your way over those last 16 years, each and every year? Could that have been new equipment that you buy for the fire department, new equipment that you need here at the Township Hall, or as Clerk Krug has worked on the Fenton Township Dog Park on Thompson Road, because we need to build a sense of place for our communities if we want to attract individuals and businesses to locate and build in our communities. So the first off is restoring the revenue sharing. Secondly, as Ian mentioned, it's really investing in our people. And that really, for me, means 2 different things. Having worked in higher education for 16 years and understanding the K-12 pipeline to higher ed, is working with our K-12 districts on a voluntary balance calendar. And that would include 3 components: talking about a planning grant to see if it's a good fit for the school districts, school modernization of the buildings itself, because you certainly can't teach in a building in August with a teacher and a student when it's 100 degrees. It's just not possible. Because my wife teaches in Flint schools, and before she was done last week, it was 85, 90 degrees in her classroom without air conditioning. And we had 3 fans in that classroom to help keep the kids cooled down. A direct opposite of what happened in December when it was 55 degrees in her classroom, and we had personal space heaters that we purchased so the kids could stay warm at least. So we need to modernize the building. And then finally, the third ring of this is to increase the per pupil funding for the districts that volunteer and participate. That way they can use the funds for transportation costs, the intersession programming, and then they do the data analysis and collection to see if a balanced calendar is having an impact on student retention and education. And then final part about this is a new program for high school seniors to tap into, in which they can use the funds for trade school, 2-year, 4-year degree completion programs. So they can enroll, graduate on time, keep their student debt as low as possible. In exchange, they agree to stay in Michigan for 10 years after graduation. Because as we've seen that the brain drain over the last decade of college graduates leaving our state, living in Chicago is not cheap, but they go there for a reason. So if we can invest in our communities, create a great sense of place in our communities, we'll be able to retain that talent and attract the Amazon-like companies who want to come into Michigan, but because we didn't have good mass transit or a highly educated workforce, they go someplace else. So we need to change the narrative and invest in our communities and invest in our people as well. So I appreciate the time to speak to you this evening, and I'll hang around if you have any questions afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any questions from the audience? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Are there any public comments? Anyone else in regards to any question? Oh, David.
I'd just like to take part of a minute and bring people's attention to the fact of the curve on North Road, right there near where you get on the expressway or off, right across from the water plant.
Yes.
As you're coming north out of Fenton, you make that sweeping curve, and the shoulder of the road is in bad shape. There are some pretty good ruts there just directly across from the entrance to the water plant. And I don't drive that fast, but I know some people do. And those ruts didn't get there by the people staying on the road. And my thought or my concern to bring it to the county road's attention, I guess, or the city of Fenton, whoever's got jurisdiction there.
It would be the city of Fenton.
It would not take almost nothing with a grader to cut just a little bit of gravel up that side and then back drag it the other way and drive over it one time. Because to my way of thinking, if somebody's going around that curve in the first place and would hit them, it's very easy to overcorrect. And if you overcorrect and there's a car headed south on that curve, when you're going north, you're talking about a head-on collision. Even if they're only both going 30 miles an hour, that's serious. Just a point of observation, I did stop here a year or two ago and I filled in most of the ruts at that time.
You filled
with
in?
Just a shovel.
Oh, okay.
But I said, you're not John Q. Public.
No.
And when you're parked on the side of the road, if somebody rear ends you and you end up with a broken back, you're an idiot for doing that sort of thing. When they have equipment and they have people that are paid.
All right, David.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments? Anyone? If not, I will say the meeting, good night. The meeting is adjourned. Okay.